Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of What Do You Want From a Drummer? Today I'm interviewing renowned saxophonist Derek Nash, who's played with Tom Jones, Eric Clapton, Amy Winehouse, David Sanborn, Jack Bruce, Michael Bublé and Sir Paul McCartney, to name just a few. He also works as a saxophonist, an arranger, a band leader and a studio engineer, so he has a really broad wealth of experience to draw from and to tell us what he thinks is important from a drummer. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's hear what Derek has to say. Okay. So, hi Derek, thanks for joining us on this conversation. What we want to find out is, from other musicians' point of views, what do you look for in a drummer? So can we start off with you telling us a bit about who you've played with so that we know where your perspective comes from?
Okay. Well, it's pretty vast, the range. I suppose from a point of view of some of the most famous people I've played with is usually as a direct result of being a member of the Jules Holland Rhythm and Blues Orchestra for the last 20 years, which has meant Paul McCartney, Amy Winehouse, Eric Clapton, Rod Stewart, Nile Rodgers, Adele. Yeah, I mean, that's just a ridiculously small selection of the people I've had the privilege of playing alongside. And I say playing alongside, and the drummer I've been working with for pretty well all of that is Gilson Lavis, who is an incredible drummer. Sadly, just retired from the drumming game, but still an incredible artist and an absolute driving force behind the band for many years. But yeah, and then you add my jazz career has meant I've played with Brian Culbertson from the States. I've been to America, Ernie Watts, Dave Grusin, Don Grusin, Russell Ferrante from the Yellow Jackets, those kind of jazz people, UK jazz people.
And that's with their drummers?
That's with their drummers,
sure.
Yeah. UK jazz people, everyone from Georgie Fame to George Melly to Digby Fairweather to Dick Morrissey to, wow, it goes on and on.
Huge.
And then there's the funk thing. I've got a funk band which plays Stevie Wonder music called The Wonder of Stevie, and then I've got the Funk Experience band, and then I've got this Latin band called Picante. My God, there's a great drummer in that band. He's really good. So I've often worked, if I'm choosing the bands, I'll choose drummers that I feel will play my music to my satisfaction, the way I want it.
Sure.
But a lot of my stuff has also been working with other people's drummers, so I've experienced loads of different drummers in different situations. If you become that travelling jazz artist, you can often end up sitting in with a house band and you have no idea who they're going to be. So you have to then accommodate the musicians that you've been given to do a guest spot with a jazz trio somewhere, anywhere across the country. So all sorts of things could happen.
Okay, so as a sax player, can you tell us what musical things you look for if in booking a drummer? Is it different for different musical styles, or are there just things you want that you kind of specify as that to me makes a good drummer?
They're definitely, I will choose different drummers for different genres of music that I play in. I would not choose the same drummer that I have for my acoustic quartet to go out and do my Funk Experience band, because it's very rare to find drummers that are absolutely conversant with blue note swing as they are with Bernard Purdie shuffles and backbeats and that kind of thing. So yes, I do use different drummers. In fact, pretty well there's a different drummer with every band that I work with. And I actually like the fact that it helps I give each band a natural identity.
Sure.
Not that it means that the drummers that I use in certain bands can't cross over and come and work with me. You play with me in Picante in the Latin band, but you've certainly come along and played with my acoustic quartet without thinking about it, and you played with Sax Appeal without thinking about it, and you've probably done Funk Experience things with me as well. So again, you're one of those rare drummers that is pretty versatile in lots of different dimensions. But I would say someone like, let's pick an amazing jazz drummer, Clark Tracy.
Sure.
Wow, you know, he's played all his life with his father, Stan Tracy, before then. Beautiful swing drummer. But the kind of kit he would turn up would not necessarily be right for doing my Wonder of Stevie show.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have that kind of noisy snare backbeat setup, I may be doing him a disservice, because every now and then you find a musician, excuse me, who is actually able to play a different genre of music and you didn't expect it.
Yeah.
David Newton, my piano player from my acoustic quartet, 16 times winner of British jazz pianist, actually loves doing my Stevie Wonder show, and when he does, he plays a bit like Herbie Hancock in it.
Oh, nice.
But it was an unexpected pleasure
Yeah.
when he came and did it. But he also doesn't turn up with all the synth sounds. So Neil Angilli would turn up with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So again, Nick France, who does my Wondrous Stevie show, is probably the kind of kit that he brings for that is not necessarily quite right for doing a Blue Note style swing night.
Yeah.
So again, playing stars, but he's an amazing Latin player, an amazing groove player, and plays nice swing, but it's just different from someone like Sebastian de Krom,
Sure.
who is so studied in Blue Note drummers and those sounds and those styles. You get a different thing happening behind you. It just makes the gig different, but I love having a drummer who I think is just perfectly suited for each genre of music that I play, and it means I can relax and really enjoy each gig.
Okay, lovely. So we've got the idea of different styles. Are there musical qualities that you think that you hold in high regard for drummers across the board? What do they need to have for you to book them?
Actually, they need to have non-musical things as well.
Okay.
All right. One of which is I have to feel I have a natural rapport with them as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a crazy thing. You've got to be able to sit in a car with them for 4 hours and enjoy their company. And it doesn't matter if they want to listen to something you've not heard before, or want to talk, or Radio 4, or almost sit quite quietly for some of the time. But as a musician, you spend, what was it, Charlie Watts, Rolling Stones, 25 years of the Rolling Stones. How do you sum it up? 5 years playing, 20 years hanging about.
Excellent.
Okay, so that is one of the qualities of being a musician. You will have huge amounts of hanging about with your fellow musicians, and if you don't fit, then it's going to be difficult. You've got to turn up on time, or at least phone me and let me know why.
Sure.
You've got to have a respect for the gig. So if it's a posh private party, don't turn up in jeans and a smelly t-shirt. Mm-hmm. So these are all the non-musical qualities before you get on the gig. Then once you get on the gig, what do I want? I think, above all, I want time.
Okay.
I want really rock solid time that just feels effortless. I have an interesting thing that I feel, certainly about drummers and bass players, is I call them the invisible members of the band. And that only happens when they're really good. Mm-hmm. A really good bass player. You play with them all night long, and the only thing that sounds great is the music. But if a bass player is not good, you tend to notice what they're up to all the time. And you think, I didn't like that. That's not quite in the pocket there. And it's the same with drummers. If you get a great drummer, actually the only thing that is great is the music, not the drum part. Saying that, there are some exceptions. I work with Darby Todd in the Protect the Beat funk band that we do, and there's no way you can ignore him.
Sure. And who are the other people that Darby's played with?
He's
busy, isn't he?
He's now turned into quite a kind of rock, progressive rock, metal-y kind of guy. So most recently his big thing is Devin Townsend, Canadian superstar, which... Thank you, Darby. I ended up on the latest Devin Townsend album, playing on a track called Knuckle Dragger. There you go. Not what you expect. And then he got me in with The Darkness, so I'm on the new Darkness album with Justin Hawkins. And before that, he was doing Martin Barr, who was the guitar player with Jethro Tull, and he did many years with him. And then Buddy Whittington, the blues player before that. And then Alan Price. Alan Price Band, Papa George, lots of things like that he would do. Rick Parfitt Band, Rick Parfitt Jr.
Sure.
Son of the Status Quo guitar player. He has a great function party band that goes out and does kind of rock and roll parties and things like that. He's done loads of that. So Darby's a very versatile drummer. And actually Darby, if you let Darby play his thing, his technique is so unbelievable. You know, there's this kind of maelstrom of volcano going on behind you. But if you tell Darby, just give me time for this, he's totally pro enough to say, right, you want it straight? I'll play it absolutely straight.
Yeah.
And when he gets his solo, then all the fireworks come out. But that's another thing I look for in a pro drummer. One that, yes, you've got your own unique style and you may have the best chops in the world, but you are prepared to serve the music, not your own ego.
Yeah, fantastic. Excellent. One more question. Are there maybe a couple of things you can think of where you've particularly noticed the drummer? And what did they do to particularly grab your attention, in any way, any sort of gig?
Any sort of gig. I've done straight ahead jazz with all sorts of drummers, but in my own quartet I use Sebastian de Krom, and it's what Sebastian de Krom doesn't play.
Okay.
Sebastian has listened to every single one of those Blue Note albums and knows them inside out, and often it is just, there's this incredible time, but there's none of this mucking about, extra snares rattling on, all this stuff happening inside. There's just this time going on, and you almost think, oh come on, you are actually allowed to do the odd fill here and there.
Yeah.
But he serves the time so beautifully, and what you've got, it goes like that. Go on, you do whatever you want. I've got you. You are totally safe, and that gives me as a saxophone player this incredible freedom. There are other drummers I've worked with, and I find it all gets a bit busy and sploshy going on behind me, and I think you're not actually listening to me. You're just having a good time and showing off your technique behind me. You're not serving the music. So leaving space for the other musicians. Sure. And listening to what they're up to. Now, when I work with Mike Bradley in Sax Appeal, now Mike is a very technical drummer, and Mike is, I would call, comes down that Buddy Rich route of he actually plays the tunes with you. Yeah. Which is what Buddy Rich would do if it goes, and he would actually catch all these phrases like a ridiculously talented big band drummer or pit drum. It's almost like a circus thing. He'll catch everything as it catches with you. And I'll just play one phrase and go, and it would come in with me next time round. So he listens like mad. Now, he's not laying time, but I love the musical interactions and conversations that we have. Sure. So that is a different style of drumming, but I love the fact that I've learnt now, I don't give him a chart with what to play on drums. I write down what the brass section are going to play at this point and say, you respect and compliment that line. Yeah. Now, the same thing has just happened with the new Jules Holland drummer, Ed Richardson, who, Guy Barker Big Band, Proms, Ronnie Scott's for 10 years, their in-house big band, Ray Gelato Giants of Jive for 10 years, he's done Van Morrison, done Gary Barlow, ridiculously talented drummer. He walks in to take over from Gilson Lavis when he retires. There's no chance because Gilson doesn't read. So he just said, give me the lead trumpet part for each chart. Okay. And I listen to the last concert recording that Gilson did, and he just came and did an incredible job because he just looked at the shape of the line. And it's the same thing with Mike Bradley. I will give him the horn line, which we're about to play, and you decide of it how much you want to cop with us. Mm-hmm. And usually every now and then I'll say, oh, don't do that one. Yeah. Or that one's a bit much, or can you make sure you definitely play that one with us? But it would be more guidance having heard what he's done. I like to leave drummers to do their own thing. I will always write a chart, and the chart will be such that if you play what's on the chart, nothing will go wrong. Yeah. But feel free. Off you go. Yeah. Yeah, that's just this is just your safety net. Because drummers, I'm not a drummer. I can write drum charts, and I can hear in my head what I think I want to be played, and I'll certainly stipulate on a gig if I don't like that or I do like that. That happens. So what's the opposite? Frank Tonto's 2 and 4.
Yeah.
Now Frank's not playing at the moment because he's not been very well at all. But when Frank plays 2 and 4, my God, the world wants to dance. How can he just go that 2 and the 4? There is something about it, and it's probably not the 2 and the 4. It's probably the way the rest of it is dancing.
Yeah,
around
the other
it.
stuff around it.
But wow, when Frank wants to just play a pocket, you want to dance. And I think Ash Sona's got that thing as well. Ralph Salmons can do it.
Yeah.
You know, Ian Thomas can do it. Neil Wilkinson can do it. And Nick can do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pocket. There's suddenly a pocket. And again, what happens is you're not listening to what the drummer's doing, but you want to dance.
Yeah, sure.
The room wants to dance. And that's an art, and that's something I respect, and that's something I want out of a drummer. I don't want flashiness necessarily, but I want a pocket. So it comes back to I want time that is musical time, not accurate time. I've played with some very accurate drummers, but it doesn't make me want to dance.
Sure. Excellent. Yeah. Well, thanks very much for joining us. That's a great insight into what drummers should aim for.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.